Has this ever happened in one of your games? Or this? Or this? I had just come back from a long TF2 break, about a year long, and despite all my hours in the game and on Spy, I still missed a few stabs that really should have been easy stabs. If you're a player who's newer to Spy, you might have noticed this happen to you many times before, and wondered how do the best spies reliably hit stabs, let alone get trick and strafe stabs? What if I told you that I know of a secret TF2 setting that no other Spy YouTuber has ever talked about, and that will immediately improve your chances of landing backstabs? Believe it or not, chances are you've heard of this command, and you've most likely used this command before in the past. Now, before I tell you about the command, I believe that it's important to tell you how experienced spies seem to have a higher success rate on their stabs. Here are clips of some very experienced spies stabbing. What are they doing right that you may not be doing yourself? Well, ignoring their smooth movement that comes from many hours of practice and experience, they seem to always stab at the exact moment that a backstab is possible. Even in some of my clips, I refrain from stabbing until the exact moment a backstab is possible, and I click at that exact moment. See, what is happening to less experienced spies is they don't have enough confidence in their stabs. They want to wait until it's safe to get their stab. And oftentimes, newer spies don't know when a backstab is available and don't have a developed feel for when a stab will count as a backstab. Many of the new spies wait until their knife is raised to get their stab. Here's the unfortunate thing about the backstab animation. The moment you're within backstab range, you can click to get the kill independently of the knife animation. The knife raise animation takes time to play. The consequences of these two things together is that when you can get a backstab, your knife animation hasn't even happened yet. And most of the time, by the time your knife is fully raised to stab, the opponent has turned or is just out of range of your knife, and you've long lost your chance to get a backstab. When you attempt some strafe stabs, the margin to actually hit these stabs are extremely slim. As a spy whose stabs are nearly all strafe stabs, I seldom see the knife raise animation at all. Of course, the backstab animation will play, but the knife raise animation will never finish by the time that I click. This can be seen in these clips. Here's the frame right before I stab with the knife down, and here's the immediate next frame. Here's another clip. Knife is down, stab. Knife is down, stab. Knife is down, and you get the idea. When I was starting out as Spy many years ago, I assumed that I had to train to improve my reaction timing so that I can stab the moment that my knife was raised. This was surely going to make me become a good Spy. It did not. I did get better at Spy though, but no thanks to my reaction timing. It took until just 2 or 3 years ago for me to notice what I was doing right when I was playing Spy. I wasn't waiting for my knife to raise anymore. I was clicking the moment that a backstab was available to me, and I was no longer watching my knife raise. Just from experience, I could now tell in real time that me standing here would not count as a backstab, but a couple steps further into the strafe, and this would count as a backstab. I stopped looking at my knife, I stopped guessing when the stab was ready, and most importantly, I wasn't butter knifing or holding down my attack button until it would count as a stab. With near frame perfect stabs like a circle strafe, you don't want to have a stab be available in between your knife swing cooldown. As you can see, these less experienced spies who are trying to fight me don't have a solid feel for when a backstab is available, and all they can hit on me are butter knives. I'm more conservative in when I click because I know that sometimes I'll not always have a second chance to stab if I were to miss my first attempt. So I wait until my intuition and experience tells me that I can click here and it'll be a guaranteed backstab under normal circumstances. So that's how good spies play the game. They never wait for their knife to raise to tell them when a backstab is available. They just seem to know the exact frame a stab is available and click at that exact millisecond. And when I say millisecond, that is not an exaggeration. Oftentimes when you strafe stab someone, you literally only have a millisecond or two to get a stab, or else you'll miss. The margin of error can be that low at times. When you look at any spy tutorials online, or any stabbing tutorials, even good ones, they never tell you this basic, fundamental to spy tip. I've yet to see any tutorial touch on this part of getting better at spy. I don't think it's anyone's fault either. This kind of stuff isn't usually noticed because after years and years of experience, you just get used to it and learn how to do it anyway. Some spy mains who have a lot of experience may not have even noticed that they've been doing this whole time because it's in the subconscious. If every single great spy is doing this, I think it's important to teach this to more people to improve their backstabbing percentage. Here's the problem. How do you teach a skill that's normally learned over years of practice in a short amount of time? This is where my super special secret command comes into play. That secret command being... Okay, it's a bit anticlimactic. To some of you, the implication of this command may have been immediately understood. To others, you may still be a bit confused, so let me explain. If you were to force yourself to never look at your knife to backstab, and only guess when you're able to stab, you would develop your intuition on when it is appropriate to click quicker than usual. By turning off your knife view models, you will force yourself to get a feeling of the appropriate time to stab. If you're a new or inexperienced spy, you may not have noticed how often you rely on your view models to clue you into when you can stab. After a few days or a week of playing without a knife view model, you should notice some improvements almost immediately. Of course, you're going to get a few situations where you end up clicking too early or too late near the beginning when you're just starting to get used to this. After a day or two of playing spy without a view model, you should gain the intuition to know when it is appropriate to stab or not without any visual cues. Bonus points if you practice this and manage to still hit trick stabs and strafe stabs with no view models. Okay, side note, if you've tried turning off your view models in spy, you may have noticed that it's hard to tell if you're cloaked, and it's honestly impossible to tell if you have your dead ringer out or not. Or maybe you just want to see your gun, but not have your knife visible, so you can tell what weapon you're holding at the moment. I have a great mod for you called Yttrium's Competitive View Models. A link to a tutorial on how to install it and a link to the download page is in the description. It basically allows you to selectively choose which view models are going to be visible and which ones are going to be invisible. That way you can keep your gun, your sapper, cloak, and disguise kit visible while hiding your knife only. After a few days or a week of predicting when your stab is available, you should develop a better feel for when you are able to click, and the feeling of when to stab will come naturally. Of course, you could train this by simply playing spy with normal view models and just choosing to ignore your knife, but I believe that it's easier for newer players to completely cut out the visuals because you may have built a habit of looking at your knife to raise before stabbing. Whether you're an intermediate spy who's trying your hand at learning how to strafe stab, or a beginner spy who's just trying to get a hold of the basics, or someone who doesn't even main spy and wants to give him a try, but is intimidated of using his knife because you worry you might fail stab often, you now know the reason behind your fail stabs and know the way to train to help reduce your fail stabs. When I got back from my year-long TF2 break, for the first 3 days, I was failing my stabs very often. This was because I had to get used to playing spy again and get used to knowing when it's appropriate to stab or not. After 3 days, I was back to top scoring like usual. I hope this rarely touched upon subject of spy will help you improve at your own spy gameplay. Thank you for watching, and good luck on your espionage journey.